Thank you guys for tuning in to the Nighthawks channel tonight. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day or night, week or weekend, or whenever it is that you are listening to this. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you have any stories that you would like me to edit for you, please send to the email down in the description below. And again, always remember, he's watching. Skinwalkers are most frequently seen as half man, half coyote, or wolf, and are not creatures to be trusted. Some Indian tribes believe that skinwalkers have the ability to steal the face of a person, and some believe that if you look into the eyes of a skinwalker, they can absorb themselves into your body, or that your body might freeze up in fear, allowing the skinwalker to channel fear, gain power, and energy. There are many horror stories about the things that skinwalkers do to their victims. The best thing known about them is their ability to change their voice and lure their victims out into the woods. So if you ever hear a voice that you recognize, your mother, your father, brother or sister, trying to lure you out into the middle of nowhere, think twice before following it out into the deep, dark bush. It was the middle of July, back in 1932, my grandmother recalls. She said that she can remember how humid it was outside. The sweat would drip down from her forehead into her eyes as she picked cotton in the fields. Her tribe moved from north and migrated down to the south, where there were better working conditions. In those days, and still today, Indians lived separate on Indian reservations that were reserved for them. She said that she would work from sunup to sundown, and at night she would spend time with her family sitting around the campfire, eating, drinking, smoking, just spending time with their families. There was about 200 to 300 Indians that lived on the reservation, so everyone was like family and knew each other. Anyone not part of the tribe was not welcome, and the chief and the male leaders would stand guard and patrol the outer skirts of the reservation. My grandmother recalls that they could never leave or wander through the woods that surrounded the reservation without the guidance of one or more of the male leaders. It was a very hot, humid night, almost unbearable. She recalls sitting around the campfire weaving cornstalks into little dolls that her and her mother would go into town to sell. It was getting late, and her father would always go down to the creek to fetch a pail of water so that he could put out the campfire for the night. Everyone had retreated back to their cabins. She was the only one out that was left. She was sitting on a log with her eyes closed, enjoying the cool breeze that blew up from the river through the woods. There was a full moon, and she recalls hearing all the sounds, the crickets, the frogs, the bugs and beetles, the nature of the night. She said that maybe it was 5, maybe 10 minutes. It just seemed to be taking her father a little longer than usual to return. She knew not to go into the woods or leave the campfire, but she did get up and walk over to the very edge of where the light meets the dark tree line and stood there waiting for her father. As she stood there scanning the bushes and listening to see if she could hear footsteps of her father or water splashing around in the pail that he was carrying, she stood at the edge listening quietly as she heard a rustling in a nearby bush. She walked over to it and said, "Father, is that you?" The bush rattled again, and she took a few steps back, standing there with her eyes focused on the bush. "Berta, what are you doing here? You know that you're not supposed to leave the light of the campfire," as her mother grabbed her and pulled her back. "I'm sorry, Mother. I was waiting for Father to come back. He's been gone a while now." The bush rattled again. Then the voice of her father, "Berta, come help me. Come help me." "See, Mother, there he is. Just as she began to walk toward the bush to assist her father, her mother grabbed her arm back and pulled her back into the light. Wait! Listen. Do you hear that? No, Mother. Exactly. No water splashing around or hitting the ground. That is not your father. And just as a tall figure emerged from behind the bush, it was dark and hard to make out any details. As it took a step forward into the light of the moon, we could see its face. Standing about 6 feet tall in the body of a man, but the head of a deer and the nose of a wolf. It took a step back into the darkness. It must know that we could see his face. Too afraid to run or scream, me and Mother just stood there staring at this half-man, half-deer being. I can feel the grip of my mother's hand getting tighter and slowly pulling me back. We start to hear gunshots ringing off. Bang, bang, bang. The loud voice of my father behind us, yelling, May, Berta, get back, get away from that. And even more gunshots ringing off. The creature let out a loud howl I've never, ever heard again, nor I would forget. The creature disappeared back into the woods, and my father picked me up and took me back to the campfire where the other male leaders were loading their rifles and shotguns and gathering their horses to get ready to go hunt down this wild creature. Stay here, Berta, with your mother. We'll be back. As I sat there, confused and scared, my father disappeared off into the dark night. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to the Nighthawks channel. I hope you guys liked that story. If you did and you're wanting to hear more, please like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember,